My father is running for mayor next year, and everyone who matters will be it this way. It needs to be perfect. Then you need my money to make it perfect, I said. I need your help to make sure your brother doesn't embarrass me, she corrected. The wedding is already paid for. Your parents took out a loan against their house. Then why did they ask me for money? There was a pause. Because they can't make the first payment. The loan has some aggressive terms. If they miss a payment, the interest rate doubles. Let me get this straight, I said. They took a predatory loan they can't afford for a wedding they can't afford, and now that's somehow my problem. Family helps family, she said as if reciting a line she'd been taught. That hasn't been my experience, I replied. Listen, her voice hardened. My father has connections. He could help your career if you help us. Or he could make things difficult. It's your choice. The threat was so unexpected I actually laughed. Did you just threaten my career over your wedding? I'm simply pointing out that actions have consequences, she said smoothly. Think about it. We need an answer by Friday. After she hung up, I sat back in my chair, stunned at the audacity. Then I started making calls of my own. First to my company's legal team to document the threat. Then to a private investigator I'd worked with on a corporate espionage case. Then to Uncle Rob. They did what? Uncle Rob exploded when I told him about the predatory loan and the threat. Yeah. And apparently her future father-in-law has connections that could hurt my career, I said. Tommy, these people are toxic. You don't tell them anything. I know, I said, but I'm not just going to let this go. I think it's time for some consequences of their own. The Pies report came back within a week. Alyssa's father, Richard Kensington, was indeed planning a mayoral run. He was also involved in some questionable real estate deals and had a sealed juvenile record. Jake had a history of being chronically late to work and was on thin ice at several jobs before finally getting fired. And the best part, the predatory loan came from a company where Kensington was a silent partner. So basically he's setting up his own future son-in-law's family with a loan he knows they can't repay, I summarized to Uncle Rob over dinner. I'm guessing the plan is to take their house when they default. That's beyond sketchy, Uncle Rob shook his head. What are you going to do? I smiled. I'm going to do what I do best, follow the data and see where it leads. Armed with this information, I set up a meeting with a reporter friend at the Philadelphia Inquirer who'd been looking for a breakthrough story. I didn't give him the information directly, but I pointed him in the right direction. You might want to look into predatory lending in small towns, I suggested. Especially loans connected to political aspirations. Meanwhile, I hired the best financial forensic specialist I could find to look into the loan company. If they were giving predatory loans to my parents, they were doing it to others. The specialist confirmed my suspicions. The company had a pattern of targeting financially vulnerable families, especially those with connections to people Kensington wanted to influence. Then I waited, knowing that sometimes the best revenge is letting people destroy themselves while you watch from a safe distance. 2 weeks later, my plan started bearing fruit. The Inquirer ran a front-page expose on predatory lending, targeting financially vulnerable families in small towns. They specifically highlighted the company that had given my parents the loan, tying it to Richard Kensington and questioning the ethics of a mayoral candidate profiting from such practices. The story got picked up by state news outlets and then national ones. Suddenly Richard Kensington's mayoral aspirations were in serious jeopardy. The article didn't mention my parents specifically, but it detailed several cases similar to theirs, complete with quotes from financial experts about how these loans were designed to fail. My phone exploded with calls and texts from my parents and Jake. All of which I ignored. Then came an email from Melissa. Subject line: you did this. The body of the email was surprisingly short. I know you're behind this. You've ruined everything. My father knows people who can make your life very difficult. I didn't bother responding. Instead, I forwarded the email to my lawyer with a note: add this to the file of threats from the Kensington family. Next, I contacted a consumer protection attorney and paid them to represent my parents in a predatory lending lawsuit against Kensington's company without telling my parents. I wanted to help them escape the loan, but I wasn't about to give them the satisfaction of knowing I was behind it. The attorney called them directly, explaining that they had been selected as potential plaintiffs in a class action suit against the predatory lender. All legal fees would be covered, they just needed to provide documentation about their loan. 2 days later my mother called. What did you do? She demanded without preamble. I have no idea what you're talking about, I replied calmly, leaning back in my office chair. His lawyer called us about a lawsuit against Richard's company. Then Richard called Jake, screaming about betrayal. The wedding is off, and it's somehow your fault. That's unfortunate, I said. Maybe Jake dodged a bullet. Melissa doesn't sound like someone who truly cared about him. You ruined everything. Mom was crying now. The loan company is threatening foreclosure. Jake lost his new job at Richard's office, and we have nowhere to turn. That sounds like a series of consequences for poor decisions, I observed. Please. Her voice changed, becoming small and desperate. Please help us, Tommy. We made mistakes, terrible mistakes with you, with everything. But we're going to lose the house. We'll be homeless. For a moment I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. But then I remembered all those years of being treated like I was less than Jake. All those times they dismissed my dreams and abilities, all the support they had denied me while lavishing it on my brother. I'll think about it, I said and hung up. I did think about it for a whole week. I thought about all the times they had dismissed me, belittled me, chosen Jake over me. I thought about how they had laughed at my dreams and refused to help me when I needed it most. I thought about the fact that they had only reached out when they needed something from me, not because they actually cared about my life or wanted to repair our relationship. And I also thought about something Uncle Rob had said when I first moved in with him: the best revenge isn't making others suffer. It's living well and being nothing like the people who hurt you. Then I made a decision. I called a real estate agent in my hometown and had them find a rental property, a modest 3-bedroom ranch house in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but comfortable and well maintained. I bought it outright through an LLC, ensuring my name wasn't on any paperwork. I wanted to help, but I didn't want them to have any legal claim on me or my assets. Then I called my parents. "I've thought about your situation," I said when my father answered. "I'm willing to help, but on my terms." A relief in his voice was palpable. "Anything, Tommy. We're desperate here. I've arranged for a place for you to live. It's not fancy, but it's better than being homeless. The address is 1472 Oakwood Drive. The keys will be in a lockbox on the door. The code is 11,989. You bought us a house." Dad sounded stunned, and I could hear my mother in the background asking what was happening. "I'm providing you with housing," I corrected. "There are conditions." "What conditions?" His voice immediately turned suspicious. "First, I want a full acknowledgement and apology from both you and Mom for how you treated me growing up and when I needed college help. Not just a quick sorry, but a real accounting of everything written and in person. Tommy, that's in the past. Second," I continued as if he hadn't spoken, "Jake needs to get real help for his issues, and find steady employment not through connections, but actual work." There was a long pause. "How did you know about his problems?" "I make it my business to know things now," I said. "Third, you and Mom will attend financial literacy classes that I'll arrange and pay for. And finally, you'll both do 100 hours of community service at the local library, the place that gave me sanctuary when home didn't."